Last time, by Miss Squeakers. Chapter 12, Fall from Grace. Piggy had wandered the frozen wasteland, weary and broken. Blood dripping from her nose had already frozen, blocking the flow of air. She breathed heavily through her mouth as she tried to chase her assailant, but she had already lost track of her hours ago. She fought on against a buffet of wind and sleet, delirious and in pain from the constant attack. All around her was black. The darkness of the storm had even blocked out the light from the moon. She had no idea where she was, let alone where she had come from. She was lost. Up ahead, she caught the trunk of the tree. It was large enough to block the wind and sleet for Piggy to catch her breath. She used a low-hanging branch to grasp onto and keep herself up, but it was no use. Her legs gave out under her as she fell back up against the tree. Up above, she could see various shades of blue from the light of the moon, radiating a circular pattern down into the blackness where she lay. Piggy reached up to the light, desperately grasping it in the hopes that she would lead her somewhere far away, away from the cold of the world. "Please, help me!" she cried. A figure could be made out proceeding from the light at the end of the proverbial tunnel. It flared its wings out and glowed with magnificent light. The figure wore a black hooded robe, resembling the angel of death from one of Pygmalia's mother's old tales. "Is it my time already?" she asked, almost pleading as tears streamed from her eyes. The figure approached Pygmalion, so close she could feel the chill of her mane against her cheek. She moved her face next to Pygmalion's ears and whispered in an ethereal voice, "No, it is not your time." A light glowed from atop the figure's head, making the wind die down behind her, just enough to reveal the edge of the ever-free forest. "Save Verity," she whispered, before disappearing in a sudden gust of snow. Twilight opened the door to the library to see Nova sitting down and reading a book about astronomy. Around the library, several books were removed from the shelves in a disarray around the young mare. She looked up with a smile on her face at Twilight, ecstatic to begin her forced sleepover. "You're back!" she exclaimed. "How did you go with your friends?" Twilight shrugged. "I'm not sure. As far as plans go, terrible. But for the feeling you get after helping out friends, it went pretty well." She giggled, reminiscing about how much she had helped her friends. She was certain he must have appreciated more than Twilight could, having missed it for 15 years. Twilight shifted her attention around the room, looking back and forth across the room before giving Nova a confused look. Where's Spike?" Nova's eyes began to shift around as she began to struggle with her answer. "Well, he took a nap. He got tired after we studied and went upstairs and took a nap." Nova pursed her lips as she turned her attention back down to the book to avoid Twilight's doubtful glare. "Nova, where are you hiding?" Twilight demanded. Suddenly, they heard a groan from upstairs, followed by the sound of someone walking out to the balcony. "Ugh! My head!" the purple dragon muttered, before setting his sights on the unicorn downwards. "Twilight, I'm glad you're here! She must have cast a knockout spell on me or something!" he shouted, pointing an accusing finger at Nova. All eyes were on Nova as they awaited her explanation. She dropped her head below her shoulders as she conceded her defeat. "All right, fine! I did cast a knockout spell on you, Spike. It's just that I thought I'd be learning about cool magic and stuff. You know, having access to Twilight's library and all. But Spike, it's so boring!" she groaned. "What? Twilight said study and doesn't what I did!" he chuckled before looking towards Twilight. "We started with history, all the way from the pre-classical era till now. Then we moved on to advanced trig." Good Nova was genuine sounds in your eyes. "You know, Twilight was around that level that age." He noticed Nova only stared at him with disappointment and frustration. "You didn't actually think I let you poke around Twilight's spellbooks, did you?" he guffawed. "There's some dangerous stuff in those old tomes." "Well, it's no use. I couldn't even find them with you asleep." "Nova!" Twilight barked. "That wasn't nice of you to do something like that. Not to mention those are dangerous spells you performed. Where did you even learn the knockout spell? Only royal guards are taught those." "Well," Nova began, shyly poking at the floor of her hoof, "my brother actually taught me. But please don't tell anybody. I don't want him to get into trouble," she pleaded. "All right, I promise I won't tell. But you've got to apologize to Spike for what you did." With a nod, she turned to the dragon and lowered her head respectfully. "I'm sorry I knocked you out," she apologized. Twilight snickered as Spike buzzed in embarrassment. Nova quickly got the joke. "Shoot, that did not come out right," she nervously explained. "What I meant to say was that I'm sorry I overpowered you." Twilight burst out laughing at this time, unable to think of anything else now. Spike! You got beat by a little filly! She laughed. No. What I meant was sorry you got your butt kicked by a filly. Nova snickered. Oh, come on! He shouted. You're not even trying anymore! Oh, don't worry, Spike. I'm laughing. Rarity and Sleepy lay together on Rarity's bed, tuckered out from a long day of traveling and cleaning. She clutched her little sister tight, doing her best to wrap her tail around the young mare, like she did when Sleepy was just a filly. Rarity never closed her eyes, not wanting to waste a single moment with her sister. Rarity noticed that she had grown well. With all the running Sleepy did, her body became toned and fit. Her mane, while rather under-cared for, had grown out and flowed beautifully across her shoulders regardless. If she had been condemned to a life of crime, she could have become a model, or, based on her talents, a pop idol. Rarity slowly ran her hoof through her sister's mane as she cherished the moment. Suddenly, there came a knock on the door. Not now. They could come back another day, she thought as she continued to stroke the sleeping mare's mane, attempting to gently remove the tangles. Then came another knock, this one louder than before. Can't they just leave enough alone? Rarity mumbled under her breath, before clutching her sister, pretending to be asleep. The beautiful scent of lilac would have done the job, too. She could feel her eyelids getting heavy as she welcomed the feeling of euphoria begin to wash over her. Creak! Rarity's eyes shot open as she heard the sound of the door open up. In the darkness, she strained her eyes to watch her bedroom door for any intruders. Sweetie, she whispered as she began to shake her sister. Yes, sis, she groaned. Sweetie, wake up. There's some pony in the house. Sweetie shot up, taking a defensive position in front of the bed. Rarity, I'll handle this, she commanded, trying her best to keep her voice down. No! It's ridiculous. What if you get... Rarity, I've been doing this for 12 years. I can handle it. With that, Sleepy crept towards the door, positioning herself against the wall to where she could peek through the crack in the doorway. It was no use. With the boards still covering the windows, the room was pitch black, and attempting to light up with her magic would only serve to give away her position. She decided it would be best if she used the darkness to her advantage. If she couldn't see the intruders, it was only fair to assume that he couldn't see her. Not only that, but they were still in the house. They would most likely be using a light source themselves. Sleepy cut down the stairs quietly, listening for any sound out of the ordinary. Through the howling of the wind only made the attempt pointless. Once she reached the ground, she could see the light coming from the open doorway. The room was empty. Anything that must have left in a hurry, seeing as nothing was taken. Sleepy dropped her guard as she moved forward to shut the door. Just before she touched the doorknob, she stepped on something that had been lying on the floor. It was a plain white envelope, sealed with a dab of wax. She barely managed enough to keep the flap closed. She managed to get and remove the contents, lifting the letter up to her face and using the light to her horn to read it. The reading was hardly legible, as at some point he had been frantically writing. Rarity, I need to see you. It's really important. Meet me at the ruins of the old castle near Free Forest. Please come alone. I need your help. Pinky. That was it. There was no time for an explanation for the suspicious meeting, which put Sleepy on edge. Whatever was going down, it made chills run down her spine. Rarity, come down! She called up. No time at all. She had rushed down the stairs, relieved her sister was safe. Phew, thank goodness you're all right. She sighed as she hugged her sister. Do you know what it was? Please take a look at this. Sleepy said she handed the letter to her sister. Rarity materialized her glasses on her face and read through the letter. I don't think you should go. It's really suspicious, Sleepy suggested. I mean, showing up in that deep evergreen alone? Something just doesn't add up. Nonsense, dear. Have you seen Pinky as of late? I saw her the other day. The poor girl was so hurt. But I told her if she needs anything, I'd be there to help her, Rarity informed. She was really scared. I could see it in her eyes. I don't blame her for being thinking about this. Plus, she called me Rarity. That can only mean she's starting to remember me. Well, I'm not letting you go alone. It's dangerous out there regardless of the circumstances, and I'm not going to lose you again. Sleepy persisted herself in between the door and her sister, and said she wasn't going to let her through. Rarity smiled at her sister's concern. I can see you were taken in for an answer. I have the slightest idea where you got that from, she joked. All right, so be it. Rarity held her forearm out to Sleepy, as if she was expected to be escorted over. Sorry. Twilight had finally loosened up Nova, Hadley felt that sitting through one of Spike's lectures about the molecular biology of pathogens was enough punishment. With Spike's help, she found some of her old, less dangerous spell books she was still willing to lend to the filly. Nova took them quickly, performing the majority of spells with only a few minutes of studying and attempting them. She was a talented magician, and was a little bit cocky. No, that looks so easy. Do you have something harder I could try? She asked after examining the page that Twilight turned the book to and handed her. She quickly closed the book and pushed it aside. Nova, that spell took me 2 whole days to master, Twilight argued, pushing the book back in front of her. Just try it. It's harder than it sounds. All right, then. Prepare to be amazed, she boasted. Twilight chuckled at the familiarity of her statement. Thus then, there came a knock on the door. Spike rushed over and opened it, seeing Rarity and Sweet Belle standing in the doorway. He quickly led them in and out of the cold as he never took his eyes off Sweet Belle. Sweet Belle! I'm so glad everything worked out! He cheered, throwing his arms in a bold request for a hug. How did you escape? The young man rushed over to him, throwing her host around him and squeezing him as tight as he could. Thank you so much! I couldn't have done it without your help, he said, remembering the bold sacrifice he made to help her escape. She turned to him and planted her lips on his cheek, giving it a big kiss before releasing her hold on him. The dragon hobbled around while mumbling incoherently, whizzing from the sun-blessed red to his head. Rarity turned her attention to Nova, surprised he was still around. Twilight, what's she doing here? I thought you made it perfectly clear that she could go home. She never left, Twilight groaned. She followed me into the Everfree, and when I finally found it out, the monorail was closed. Now she's stuck here, and I've got to take care of her. Satisfied with the answer, Rarity changed her tone to ask what she really came for. Twilight, dear, I need your help with something. Sir Rarity, what is it? I think Pinkie remembers me, Rarity exclaimed, holding up the letter. She has sent me a message requesting that I meet her alone. Well, I was thinking it might help to remember if we both were together. Twilight looked at Rarity surprised. Let me see that letter for a moment. Rarity handed it over, and Twilight quickly read through it. Pena's look spread across her face as she twisted the letter around and held it to the light, inspecting it for anything they could have missed. That's it? She asked, puzzled. This looks really suspicious. Why can't she just meet you at her place, or speak to you at yours? That's what I said, Sweet cut in matter-of-factly. Sweetie, please, Rarity scoffed. I explained this to you about earlier. You saw yourself, Twilight. Does it really seem far-fetched that you should act in such a manner? Twilight handed over the letter, thinking on it for a moment. Well, I guess you're right, though I have my doubts about it, she admitted. I'll go with you for Pinkie's sake, but I'll be there to help if something goes wrong. Twilight turned to Nova, who was waiting impatiently for an invitation to join the group. Yeah, don't get your hopes up, Nova, she teased before turning to Spike. Spike, can you watch her while we're gone? Have her study that spell to keep her busy, she said, pointing the book in front of the filly. What if I master before you get back? Is there another? You won't. Twilight let her see wrapped the scarf around her neck. Spike, make sure she doesn't pull any tricks on you again. Spike struck a pose at the attention before saluting Twilight. Don't worry, I won't fall for that again. Twilight nodded as the 3 unicorns headed out the door. Spike returned, watching the filly as he began to read the book, determined to prove Twilight wrong. She focused on the spell as her horn began to glow with bright light. Almost here, she grunted as she set her eyes tight, concentrated harder. Suddenly, the spell fizzled out with a pathetic popping noise as Nova panted an explosion. You were so close, Spike cheered. That's amazing. You remind me a lot of Twilight. She has a brother too. He's actually captain of the Royal Guard. He chuckled at similarities. Isn't that funny? Nova just stood with her mouth hanging open in shock. What? Oh, audience. I think I just realized who Nova is. And if you figured it out... My! What a twist! The trio of unicorns wandered through the Everfree Forest, following the same path Twilight had only taken a few hours prior. None of the ponies had anything to fear. Twilight had already proven the path to be harmless, twice. Rarity wasn't concerned by her surroundings either, not with Twilight and Sleepy Belle by her side. Sleepy Belle, however, was the most cautious of the trio. It wasn't that she was scared, but that habit was hard to break. All around, the forest was quiet. Still, she felt like there were eyes around, on all of them. Soon, the forest became too dark to see. All 3 unicorns lit up an illumination spell, bathing the forest with a bright light. The density of the trees caused their lights to cast shadows all around the forest, As they proceeded forward, it became hard to tell if there were things moving or it was just an irregularly shaped tree or bush. Over the distance, the rustling of leaves could be heard. "Come closer, girls," Twilight whispered, inching closer to Rarity. "Keep an eye out for anything dangerous." Shouts began to dart back and forth, putting every pony on edge. They each attempted to follow the shadows with their eyes. With all the movement around, it was hard to keep up. The feeling of paranoia had become almost overwhelming. "What's that?" Verity alerted. "Look over that way," Twilight whispered. "Over here," Sleeve pointed out. They had been circling each other, trying to follow the suspicious shapes until they had their backs to each other. "Let's get out of here, girls. I don't want to be in here any longer than we have to," Twilight worried. Off in the distance, Sleepy could see two orbs of light, like the light flickering off a pair of watching eyes. Just as he quickly spotted them, the reflections disappeared as the sound of twigs and breaking could be heard. It was a tense couple of minutes, but they finally maneuvered their way through the thicket to the other side, where the clearing could be seen. They joyfully rushed over to the frozen ravine. Around, the blizzard had died down significantly, revealing the moon up above through the gaps in the clouds. Twilight began to walk forward, the crunching of snow disturbing the quiet. Something struck her odd, however. Up ahead, there were no hoof prints or signs that any pony, at least those that couldn't fly, had been there. Twilight knew of a few paths that would lead to the clearing, but from there, this was the only path to the castle. So he quickly brushed the thought aside. "We're probably just early," she reassured herself. "This way, girls!" Twilight led to the edge of the evergrowth, weary of the edge of the cliff. Something up ahead, however, caught Twilight completely off guard. The rope bridge had been reattached. Something an earth pony couldn't have done on her own. "Girls, I got a bad feeling about this. Maybe we should turn back." "Twilight, this bridge had us over 15 years ago, and who knows how long it's been up before that?" Rarity attempted to convince her. "If it stayed up since then, it should stay up since now. What are you afraid of?" "That's exactly what I'm afraid of. This bridge wasn't up the last time I came here. Some pony has been here, and it wasn't Pinkie." Sweetie Belle put a hoof to the interject. "That's the case. There's some pony likes my sister tried to get her here alone. I don't know about you guys, but that's not okay with me." "Girls, girls," Rarity cut in. "I think you girls are letting your fears get the better of you. I mean, really. Taking me to get me alone this far away from Ponyville. How could I have possibly made enemies at this sort of time?" "But the bridge—" "What about Nova? You said she wasn't following, didn't you?" "Yeah, but you passed by here, am I correct? Still that—" "Twilight, Nova was the last one here. She could have struck at the bridge, thinking you were in here." "Well, she did say she lost me at one point," Twilight finally accepted. "There's a chance that Pinkie is in there right now, and I'm not willing to twist and turn my back on her after all she's been through," Verity continued. "I want to ask you girls to stay, but I hope you decide to join me." Twilight and Sweetbelle both sighed. It was an illogical explanation. How was he going to letting their fears get the better of him? Rarity did always have an attention for details. "All right," they said in unison. One by one, they slowly traversed the rickety bridge. Each slat of wood complained and moaned as they put their weight on it, threatening to give out at any moment. After several tense moments, they had all crossed and began to head through the giant oak doors into the grand hallway where the enemy elements once resided. The arms of the monolith had collapsed from the snow and wind had assaulted for many years, being left unprotected by the broken walls and missing ceiling, leaving only the large centerpiece standing. There hadn't been any pony around the room. The trio wandered around, expecting any possible hiding place that Pinkie might be watching from. Sleebelle walked to the back of the room to arch the windows. She noticed that up a zigzagging flight of steps there was a large building. In the window, she could see flickers of light coming from a fire, possibly a torch. "Girls, I think there's some pony over there," she called back to the others, while pointing off to the building. They all agreed, heading over to the side of the door that led to the staircase. The path was narrow. At one point it might have been 2 or 3 times as wide as it was now, and had walls on either side. Now only stood sinking set of stairs that barely a couple of yards wide. They cautiously made their way up each step, lowering their center of gravity with every breeze that could flow through. Down below, the cliff sunk down into a frozen valley. After several flights, they finally reached the point where the walls had fallen down into the pit, and reconnected with the building up ahead, the ancient throne room. The room hadn't changed except for the black, which had been cleaned by the rock slides a long time ago. For the most part, also the columns, walls, and even the pedestal where the throne once sat, were intact. There was a lit torch hanging on the last column before the ground disappeared right next to the pedestal. Rarity noticed something strange, however. Right atop the pedestal was a small white and purple figure. As he approached it, it became clear what it was. Pygamia's Rarity doll was lying on the ground, dangerously close to the edge of the room. Verity walked up to it and picked it up before a loud noise interrupted them. Pygamia was standing at the entrance, woozy from the cold and in her injuries. She looked around the room, strangely surprised to see the 3 unicorns standing before her. Tears started flowing down from her eyes as she dropped the note on the ground, spotted Rarity holding her doll. "Why did you do this to me?" she cried. "Why did you take her and hurt me? I knew you were all out to get me. Violet! Starlight!" "What did I do? I'm not even in this fic." "I trusted you!" Twilight walked up to Pygamia cautiously as he tried to calm down. "Pinky, what's wrong? What happened to you?" Pygamia winced in horror as he backed away from the advancing unicorn. "Stay back!" she screamed. "Please don't hurt me." As he backed up, she tripped over a loose stone, falling into her back. Occurred of a ball, covering her head with her hose. "Pinky, what's wrong?" "You were supposed to hit her!" shouted a voice from the rafters. A hooded Pegasus rushed down, landing right between Twilight and Pygamia. She walked over to the cowering mare, who was now shaking uncontrollably to say her assailant. "Did you do anything right?" she berated Pygamia, before turning around, pointing a covered hoof to Rarity. "Why can't any of you do anything right? You're supposed to come alone!" At that moment, Twilight rushed over to Pygamia, who was sobbing and shaking uncontrollably, to comfort her. "Pinky, shh! Everything's gonna be all right." Twilight was interrupted by a swift kick to her ribs, causing her to fold over, winded and in pain. Both Rarity and Sleepbell rushed over to help out her friends, but the figure dived back to the residence, away from the group, defending herself from getting surrounded. Rarity rushed down and helped Twilight up. "Are you all right?" she panicked. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just winded is all," she stuttered. Sleepbell rushed over to the assailant, focusing over many attacks on the airs. "Who are you? What do you want with my sister?" she demanded. "Stay out of this, Sleepbell. I don't want to have to hurt you," the attacker ordered. Sleepbell gritted her teeth. She dropped her soldiers at the ground, and with her front hoof, ready to charge. "Well, that's too bad, 'cause I want to hurt you!" Sleepbell snarled. She lunged at the attacker, tackling her to the ground hard. They began to scuffle against the floor, each desperately trying to gain control of the other. While the two fought it out, Rarity and Twilight held Pygamia back up and took her away from the scuffle, to the pedestal so she wouldn't get caught in it. Rarity gingerly handed the doll over, was Pygamia quickly grabbed and hugged tightly. In the scuffle, Sleepbell was quickly losing control of the Pegasus. In a last-ditch effort, she grabbed onto her hood with her teeth and pulled the attacker until it broke free, ripping the hood right off her head. Sleepbell was shocked at who stood before her. Diora's Pegasus snarled as he breathed heavily, trying to catch her breath. "Scoo-loo!" Sleepbell screamed. "But why?" Scoo-loo spat on the ground. She licked her lip, checking for blood. "Your sister ruined everything for me. I was happy. Even though I had nothing, I was happy not knowing that. Rarity brought me back to reality. But I hate it! I hate her!" Scoo-loo kicked back her hose in the air in frustration. "Pinky was supposed to hurt her," she shouted as she turned her attention to Rarity. "She was supposed to blame you for taking her stupid dolls and attack you. But I didn't know she'd be as worthless as the rest of you." Twilight was growing frustrated by the second. "That's enough! This is ridiculous!" "You got that right, Twilight. It wasn't Rarity's fault at all. She'll just come back with us and forget all about these ridiculous thoughts, and maybe we'll forget about this." Scoo-loo started gritting her teeth with frustration as Twilight berated her. Something inside her snapped. She didn't care about anything anymore, only seeing her hatred through to the end. "You just don't get it. I have nothing left!" Sleepbell walked forward, trying to comfort the mare. "Please stop this. You have us. You have a home. You have Rainbow Dash." Scoo-loo felt her hoof flying through the air as a knee-jerk reaction to Sleepbell's words. In an instant, Sleepbell was on the ground. Scoo-loo looked at the writhing mare in horror, not for what she did, but that she enjoyed doing it. There was no going back now. A sinister strain created across her face. "Sleepbell!" Betty cried out in shock. Before she could run to her sister, Scoo-loo positioned herself to charge. In a trained motion, she dug her hose to the ground and raised her wings. One powerful swoop, she propelled herself forward at lightning speed directly at Rarity. Seeing the oncoming attack, Twilight positioned herself in front of Rarity to protect her, bracing for impact. Just before the impact, there was a bright flash of light, and a light blue blur darted from the left, intercepting the missile. Nova caught Scoo-loo, wrapping her hose around her body. The two mares went careening off course, knocking both Twilight and Rarity off the edge and hitting the doll loose from Pygamia's grasp before falling over the edge. Rarity was able to catch herself with one hoof, dangling from the edge, but Twilight wasn't as lucky. All three mares floated down to the frozen valley below. The wind was whistling past their ears, and the air had escaped the unicorn's lungs, leaving them breathless. "You little bitch!" Scootaloo screamed at the top of her lungs, kicking and struggling against Nova's grips. She wrapped her hose around her wings, leaving her immobile as the ground rapidly approached. Nova shut her eyes, waiting for the end. There was a sickening thump, echoing all the way back up to Rarity. Both mares lay motionless on the ground. Twilight continued to fall, only shortly after the other two. She was able to position herself to where she would get the most wind resistant, and angle her fall towards a large bush. She hit her maul perfectly. The bush cushioning her fall, leaving her only with a few deep cuts and bruises, severely winded. Slowly, she crawled out towards where the others had landed. Nova. Up above, Rarity was left dangling over the edge, desperately trying to pull herself up. "Help!" she cried. Sleepy Belle rushed over, grabbing onto her sister's hoof and pulling with her might. It was no use. She couldn't pull her to safety. She looked over to Pink and Mia, who was busy searching for her doll. "Please, help me, Pinky!" Pink and Mia continued to search for her doll, getting frantic. "Rarity! I'm over here! Please help me!" Pink and Mia rushed over the edge, first seeing Rarity hurling over her life, and then the doll. The doll was hanging by its mane, having snagged the jagged edges on the broken floor. Instantly, she dove down to the ground, reaching as far as she could to attempt to rescue her friend. "Pinky, over here, please!" Rarity pleaded, when it seemed Pinky needed original rescue. The threads of the yarn were beginning to tear. There wasn't any time left. Pinky looked into the eyes of the doll, crying as she desperately tried to reach her. As she gazed in the eyes, she could see a small glimmer, drawing her attention to the reflection of the mare, struggling for life next to them. Sleepy Belle was losing her grip. It was only a matter of time before her sister slipped from her hooves, but she desperately tried to hold on. Her eyes seemed to know it was losing battle, pouring out relentless tears, for she refused to believe it. Rarity could feel the hold getting weaker. I'm sorry. No, Rarity, I won't let go. Please don't say that. Sleepy Belle sobbed. Rarity blinked away into tears before staring into her sister's eyes one last time. I love you. Sleepy Belle whimpered. She could feel her give out. All seemed hopeless. No! She whimpered. At the last second, a pink hoof came flying in, grabbing Rarity and pulling hard as she could. Pink and Mia put all of her friend's weight into her grasp to let Sleepy Belle regain her grip. You got her? Pink and Mia asked Sleepy Belle. She gave her a quick nod before turning her attention back to Rarity. Okay, on three. 1, 2, 3! Together, they pulled as hard as they could, lifting Rarity up to the side of the cliff and back onto solid ground. Pink and Mia watched as the doll finally tore itself loose from the rocks and fell. Goodbye, Pink and Mia. Down below, Twilight crossed across the snow, leaving a trail of red along the way. Her whole body ached from the cuts and bruises she sustained from her landing. Every bone in her body felt like it was broken. She pressed it on against the pain, reaching out for the filly that lay on the ground ahead of her. She was breathing, but it was weak. Nova, she moaned, reaching out, grabbing her hoof. Set up, she pulled the filly onto her lap, wrapping her up in her arms. Please, speak to me. Nova's eyes flared open, only slightly. She began to smile as she realized that Twilight was okay. Her voice was low and muffled. Told you, I learned the teleport spell. I'm so sleepy now. I wish I had more time to tell you everything. Don't say that, Twilight cried, ignoring the freezing tears that dripped down her cheeks. You're going to be fine. We're going to get you out of the hospital and you'll... Nova shook her head weakly. Tell Mom and Dad and our brother I love them very much. How? Twilight asked, confused. Nova held her hoof, revealing a creased photograph to Twilight. She took it and stared at shock and horror. I love you, sis. Whoa! I can say this. I totally did not see this coming! Nova closed her eyes and lowered her head in Twilight's arm. Breathing stopped completely now. She was gone. Here, completely still, Twilight lowered her face down to the filly's chest, crying relentlessly. Around her, steam began to rise up around her body, creating a draft. Miniature eddies of steam and snow began to swirl around her. Slowly at first, then quickly gaining speed. Small bursts of black electricity began to spark around her as the snow around her began to dissipate her. Twilight lowered the mare to the ground before backing up in rage. In front of her, Scootaloo was laying still, conscious, but only just. The eddies began to move a whirlwind around Twilight. She focused her rays on the battered Pegasus. Scootaloo couldn't move, mostly because of her own broken bones and injuries. Her partly from fear. Her eyes grew wide as she observed the beast she had just unleashed. Twilight began to spit and snarl as violent magical energy fell to her. As the energy reached a certain intensity, Twilight began to lift off the ground. At first, it appeared that she was losing control. Her actions were precise, her motions done specifically to cause what happened next. Twilight roared in the intensity of an explosion, causing the ground to crumble and crack beneath her. Twilight's body became enveloped in purple light. Her eyes glowed pure white before a frightening explosion of blinding light spread across the valley. When the light faded, Twilight was floating above the ground. Her whole body had appeared to be made of light that took a hue on her color. Her mane flowed much like the princess's, but violet and pink. Around her, the elements of harmony circled, but not the crown and necklaces they once had been, nor were they the orbs of stone that used to be before she discovered them. The elements each had a glowing gemstone, but a different shape and color. Above her floated a purple star-shaped stone. Her expression appeared to be calm and fierce, but her appearance was frightening. Around her sparked the same black lightning, but more actively, and around what had been an invisible spear of energy. Twilight focused on Scootaloo. Her horn began to glow with a black aura as red and black electricity began to arc around it. "You will pay!" she shouted in an ethereal voice. As Twilight prepared to fire, a blinding light obscured her view. "Twilight, stop!" boomed a familiar voice. The light faded, but her vision appeared to be blurred, like she was seeing the world through a blue-tinted glass. Round her, everything was frozen in time. Even an arc of lightning stood still before her. She could see Scootaloo cowering in fear, but she did not feel the rage from before. In fact, there were no discernible emotions that she could feel, only the feeling of euphoria or enlightenment. A blinding light approached her from the top of the cliff, landing directly in front of her. Slowly began to take the shape of a pony. It became clear that the figure was a unicorn. Before long, she was standing in front of Twilight, in full detail. The mare from her vision not too long ago. Pink mane seemed to flow in the visible breeze, not like her alicorn counterpart. The mare was Princess Celestia. The real Princess Celestia.